the CRA.
Progression. In Lesson 28, students begin by using concrete manipulatives to conceptualize the idea of cutting a single whole into equal pieces. What starts out as an uncut pizza turns into enough pieces to share with a group of friends. Students realize that each friend is getting one piece, the numerator, and that the pizza has been divided so that there are enough pieces for each friend. As students learn to work with different groups of friends, they conceptualize the lower number, the denominator, as the number of pieces we need to divide our whole into. Students then transition to sharing candy bars using fraction tiles, looking at the fact that the tiles represent the same size whole, but it can be cut into different pieces. This allows students to see that a smaller denominator means larger pieces, while a larger denominator means more cuts and therefore smaller pieces. In Lesson 29, we transition students to making drawings of boxes of cupcakes, where each of the different squares represents a place where an individual cupcake would go. The box in this case represents a whole, and each place for a cupcake represents a part. Because students have already had the experience of physically dividing a whole using the concrete manipulatives, this transition is much simpler. Students also become used to seeing the abstract representation of a fraction, the numerator, which represents the number of relevant pieces, and the denominator, the number of pieces the whole is divided into, connected to their concrete and visual representations. This will help students as they become used to doing things like operations with fractions. In Lesson 30, students again use concrete manipulatives, this time to conceptualize combining unit fractions in order to represent parts of a whole with a proper fraction. Finally, in Lesson 31, students again use visual representations to transition from the quilts into boxes of putty, which look very similar to the cupcake representations that they used earlier. Students shade in the different boxes and then combine the unit fractions to show fractions with larger numerators. This helps students get ready to do things like operations with fractions later on. In the AchieveMath curriculum, students will almost always start a new skill or concept by conceptualizing it with concrete manipulatives. The teacher will then instruct them on how to use the most effective and efficient visual representations to represent that same concept before moving on to being able to represent them purely abstract.
Thank you everyone for helping us with the CRA.
Progression.